I think next we have Jim Rutt with us today.
Yes, I'm coming.
Hello, Jim.
Hello, where is my video? Hold on a second here. Sorry, Leah. There we go.
Well, good to see you again. And where are
Hey.
you calling in from today?
I'm calling in from New Jersey in the US.
Excellent. Well, Jim, for those who don't know you, can you just start off giving a little bit of introduction about yourself and your background?
Certainly. So I've been a practitioner for about 25 years across multiple sectors, so finance, pharmaceutical, healthcare. I've been the CIO and CISO at the Dana Foundation since December 2010, so about 12 years. And so I've got kind of a wide swath of experience across multiple sectors, and I've seen a lot of different things and a lot of big events. And it's, I think, no more now. It's certainly an exciting time for cyber in general.
Excellent. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And in terms of, this week at Davos, what they'll be discussing, the topics, which one is close to you or of interest to you and that you can talk to us a little bit about?
Absolutely. It's board representation in terms of the cyber aspect. So cyber representation at the board level.
Okay, that is definitely a big one. So looking at the trends for this year, right? The major trends that you see and think are going to be really top of mind. What are those for 2023 that you can share with us? So
I think we're coming to a culmination of events here based on what we've seen over the past 4 or 5 years, which is the increase in general breaches and cyber attacks going on in in most industries, I would say. The amount of or the lack of understanding to date from the board level in terms of some of the key cyber constructs in terms of risk management from a cyber perspective. I think most boards are very well skilled in the fiduciary aspects of risk and the operational aspects of risk in general, maybe even the legal. In terms of cyber and the lingua franca that we use to describe all these different cyber events, it's a little bit more difficult for folks to place that in the proper context to be able to develop risk in general or understand the risk modeling that we use as practitioners and translate that into the enterprise level risk that they're charged with ultimately determining.
No, I love that you shared that. And I think another big thing, hopefully, that we see this year continue from last year is the importance of quantifying that risk as well across the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's this has been one of the major challenges, right? A lot of these metrics that we use are somewhat subjective, and it's easy to kind of talk about this from a qualitative perspective, to your point, to be able to understand occurrences of risks or in terms of how often these things can come up, because there's not really a long history like in other areas like fiduciary, for instance. I think we're getting more and more educated, and I think we're taking that education and we're trying to help the board understand, where we're at with that. So.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, for being here with us today from New Jersey and sharing your viewpoints on these topics of very much importance and coming up in 2023 and the work that you're doing. We look forward to seeing you around again this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Arvin, I think we have you up next. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Leah and team. Super excited to be here.
No, excited to have you all as well. So Arvin, where are you calling in from? And can you share a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yes. So I'm calling in from the rainy city of Nashville, Tennessee. And about my background, personally, I live in Princeton, New Jersey, and happily married for 22 years with 2 daughters. One is 18 years who started college this year, and the other who started school this year, Arini and Anya.
Well, congrats.
Thank you. And professionally, I've spent about a decade at Citigroup, building their technology and then subsequently risk and security programs. I built a red team for Experian. I built SOC for Willis Towers Watson. and cybersecurity strategy for Verizon, and finally, security programs for a Fortune 10 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗃, covering data protection and the cloud security. Currently, I work for Nissan. I'm responsible for all things security for Nissan Americas, and that include not just technology systems, but also supporting, the future of connected cars, how we are going to secure them, and the IoT devices, as the robotics and the AIs start to pop up.
That's quite the experience. Thank you. And I think, yes, connected cars, we still have a ways to go there, right? But everything's definitely getting more connected. So glad that you're in that space to help us out. In terms of the topics this year, at Davos this week that they will be covering in the sessions, which one is near and dear to you?
The future of business, and then, how does that translate into technology adoption by business? And then comes the security piece. How do we secure technology that are supporting the business pieces? So there are three main pillars of what we are hyper focusing on. The very first thing that has just started as a trend late last year is the AI adoption. And what can AI do for business, right? So that's where we start looking at ChatGPT, for an example. Everybody's typing in there and coming out with, hey, set up my meeting and do these things. What does that mean from business perspective? How do we monetize that AI? How do we incorporate that AI on what we are doing today? The way we make money today? How do we increase our revenue or decrease our cost by introducing those efficiencies? I think that's like on top and foremost from the business side, and that translates into how technology will support it. So I know people must have seen Satya Nadella himself. He announced that we are offering the AI capabilities, including ChatGPT, on Azure. So what that means is like hundreds and thousands and millions of people can rapidly adopt it into the business cycle, right? So if business cycle is adopting AI, what does it translate into security piece? And we already had cases in the last few years about, prominent AI heads of technologies at Googles of the world, leaving due to ethical issues, and how does AI interpret certain biases and all? So that's definitely on top of our radar. Let's start thinking about the disruption or potential disruption that AI can bring on the business model. How do we bring and support technology to adopt that, and what role security can play? Right. So that's one angle. The other angle, if we go a layer below, we start thinking about what are these AI things going to do for us, right, in the security aspect. So in security, you start asking yourself questions about, hey, on the offensive side, does that give a huge advantage to attackers that, they already have dark web markets to go buy the ransomware and start targeting companies, and many businesses get impacted? Will that accelerate those trends, or will that introduce new security complications to think about or to attack companies, right? And then how do we adopt and prepare the defense using those AI pieces? Yeah. So how do we stay ahead? How do we adopt them into, let's say we spend a lot of time in security operations center, of technologies, all the logs should go to a centralized place and they should get filtered and give it. Will there be a future of no SIM, no SOC? Why? Because you can just type it in and things comes together, right? So those are the things to think about, the programs, the vulnerability management, the impact it could have on the security part. So that's the second part, I would say. And the third part is to think about the SaaS security. 10 years ago, cloud was a foregone conclusion, and now it is the the technology today. So what's coming next after technology? Technology is here to serve the business. Even with cloud, we need coders and developers to write the application, but the SaaS model takes that away. That reduces their dependency on technology. So now we have a combination of, here is tons of services that we are already providing in on-prem, and now here we are adopting the SaaS services where we have very little control on many things here. As a security professional, how do we think about those combinations? And how do we prepare to secure those hybrid world where your technology data is spread across hundreds of, if not thousands of technology service provider versus, hey, these are my data center, let me just secure it. It's a very different world now. So that's the third thing I would say is on my radar. And the last part I would say is, yes, crypto is down. Yes, the Bitcoin is super low in value and tons of companies are going down and other issues. But the blockchain piece, which is beyond those hypes, there are many underlying adoptions of blockchain. How do we start thinking about manufacturing, warehouses, and other pieces into those areas, the adoption and security of those? So Leah, I would say, mainly those, if I have to categorize 3 areas to think about: AI, think about SaaS, how business is adopting, and then think about the blockchain pieces, even though it's dying out on one front, but the other one is going to last longer.
Thank you so much, Arvin. You gave us a lot to think about there in terms of what to look for this year. You can almost add Chief Futurist to your title as well. So really appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and up next, Andrew.